Josh and Frankie. What a couple of dumb shits.
Hello, primates! You found Primus Tracks. Congratulations. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. By finding Primus Tracks, you have guaranteed for you and your descendants prosperity, wealth, long life. If your descendants do not attain those traits, go ahead and sue me. I'll have been dead for 100 years. My name is Josh. I am a co-host of Primus Tracks. Might be the worst intro ever. And he is actually acting as my attorney in these matters of false guarantees of wealth and prosperity. It's Frankie Bearstein.
Hello, Josh.
Hello. Thank you for being my Raoul Duke in this situation. Well, Frankie, welcome back to Primus Tracks. Today we are talking about Bite Out of Life. It starts side 2 of Fungi And Foe release from 2009. Here we are on side 2, Frankie.
Wow.
And I hope you've
we have flipped the record over.
We flipped the record over, and as it was queuing up, we sharpened our teeth so we could take a big bite out of this track.
Brilliant.
Before we talk about Bite Out of Life, as we sometimes do, there's miscellaneous debris.
This goes way back, and I think it's a very interesting discovery. A new listener, Rough Banner, just stumbled upon the podcast, and he's going through the episodes. He messaged us to let us know that American life doesn't fade. So we've been mistaken for 2 decades.
First of all, people listen to this podcast?
Yes,
okay,
apparently.
Just making sure. What do you mean it doesn't fade? Are you saying on the record it doesn't fade?
Exactly. He told me that, and I verified this, if you play the song very loudly and you if you put your ear as close to the speaker as you can, you actually hear the final notes being played.
Oh, okay. Yes, I probably did that when I was a teenager, because I had a big volume knob on my stereo. I would crank the volume knob at the inverse of the fade out, so I could try to maintain a constant volume as the track faded out, so I could hear it the way I wanted to, which was at full volume. And so I definitely made it to the end of American Life by cranking that knob all the way. I must have done that with American Life, because I did it with a lot of tracks. Okay, so it doesn't fade all the way out. We hear the ending on the record.
There's an ending, yeah. Thank you, Rough Banner.
Yeah, thank you for reaching out about a track we talked about 4.5 years ago. I appreciate that very much.
Much appreciated.
It's good to know people are combing through.
Always appreciated.
Absolutely. A couple other things we ought to discuss. Our pal John Hoffman is up for a Modern Drummer Award, Frankie, for Best Prog Drummer 2025.
Competing with some world-class heavies, right?
Hoffer, being one of the more humble people you'll ever meet, was more than complimentary of the field. Danny Carey, Mike Portnoy, a couple other names I can't remember. He'll gladly tell you that one of them deserves it over him. But
yes,
if you want to stuff the ballot box, all you have to do is go to moderndrummer.com, find their 2025 readers poll, cast your vote, have fun. A couple other things on Hoffer, Frankie. And I've said this before, really thankful that he is so active on social media. As we know, Les and Larry have Instagram accounts, and they post sporadically, but Hoffer's on it. He's been intensively practicing his double kick, and I know that just feeds into, for you, Frankie, nut butter mania for New Year's Eve.
Fingers crossed, big time.
That's right. That's the first one that came to mind for me was, oh, I want to hear that. So he's been woodshedding a lot, and he just posted, just minutes before we began recording, an autographed photo of pro football legend Drew Brees that was inscribed Primus Sucks, that he received from Brad Sands. How cool is that?
It is absolutely awesome.
You bet. I'm sure that's the first time Drew Brees ever heard of Primus, but he Sanzio was nice enough to do that because Drew Brees played most of his football career in the state of Louisiana, and Hoffer, one of his bigger fans. So, cool to see that for Hoff. Hoffer doing a lot these days. Now, it's time for track 7 of Fungi and Foe. It's entitled Bite Out of Life. It checks in at 4 minutes and 34 seconds. Credits are as follows, Frankie. Les Claypool, or Claytool,
Cool.
if you're
Les
nasty.
Claytool, yes.
Okay, so you're nasty, because that's if you're nasty. Bass and percussion. I think Lapland might have dropped in for some percussion as well. Eugene Hutz of Gogol Bordello fame on guitar and vocals. Paolo Baldi
Very
on
distinctive.
drums. A very distinctive guitar and vocals, yes, from Eugene. So this one is quite a bit different from everything offered on side 1, open side 2, with an unexpected dose of adrenaline, a bit of a bang, and a lot of noise. What do you have on this one, Frankie?
It definitely stands out from the rest of the record, and I can't quite tell if it's because of the guests on the song, or if it's because it's so upbeat, whereas other tracks are very atmospheric and meandering, and this one, I mean, it's very straight up, right? It's very upbeat. So it's certainly in stark contrast with side 1 of the record. I think it's a very interesting way to open side B.
Yes, and it's completely unexpected. Now, I had a dim memory of this track from 2009, but coming back to it, I did remember that it was more upbeat and louder. But even in 2009, when I first listened to the record, for the only time, I suppose, I do recall being startled by the guitar, for one, because this is the only appearance of a guitar on the record,
Yeah.
and that it was double time and loud and raucous. I was pleasantly surprised by that on that initial listen all those years ago, but there were some things that detracted from it, as it was for me in 2009. We should note, too, that this is the start of 0 live tracks, correct? For the rest of the record?
Yes, starting onward from this track till the end, none of the songs were ever performed live. And in the case of this one, in the case of Bite, um, the obvious absence of Eugene, I think, would leave a considerable hole in the song. So I
Yeah.
can see why it was never performed live. I
Oh,
mean,
I would not envy the person tasked with emulating Eugene's vocal delivery, energy,
exactly.
and overall presence, because that is what he brings in spades. I should say about Eugene, actually, that I knew of him before this collaboration with Claypool. I had read the novel Everything is Illuminated in the early aughts, and then I had seen the film adaptation in 2005, which I had forgotten was written and directed by Liev Schreiber, of all people. And Eugene is one of the leads in that film, and he's hilarious. He's great. And so to this day, I still remember his distinctive voice, saying, like, "That's a seeing eye, bitch." Sammy Davis Jr. Jr. It's really good stuff. Great novel, innovative novel, well done film. And that's where I first saw Eugene and heard his voice. And then I also checked out the soundtrack CD. And there's a handful of Gogol Bordello tracks on that. And that's where I first picked up on that band and very much enjoyed the instrumentation, energy, and overall presentation of Gogol Bordello.
Very
Yeah.
unique. Yeah.
Indeed, very unique. And especially to, and I'm going to use air quotes, Western listeners such as myself that didn't know much about Eastern European music, culture, instrumentation, that sort of thing. And it was part of my musical exploration at the time, and I started going in that direction with some Eastern European music, and influenced music, and then into the into the Caucasus, and then meandering down into the Middle East. I was really getting into music from that part of the world because it made sense. I think a lot of people might listen to music from other parts of the world or influenced by music that's not familiar to them and be turned off or just not be able to find maybe the rhythm, the pattern, or the one. But it certainly spoke to me. So I was a Gogol Bordello fan pretty early on. And then, of course, they're all of a sudden they're touring and opening for Primus and doing stuff with Les Claypool.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun to see. Where did you come in on the Eugene Hutz train?
With this song, I had never heard
Okay.
Gogol Bordello before. I was completely unaware of this musical act until it was brought forward by Les.
Do you have info on guest appearances by Eugene? With Les and Primus, I remember obviously this studio track. Gogol opened for Primus in 2010, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I recall. Yeah, I recall a video. Let me pull that up. I've seen. There's quite an extensive. It's a very long performance of one particular song, but let me let me figure out what it was.
So Gogol opens for Primus in 2010. I do know also. I also recall Les, Kirk Hammett, Eugene, and a bunch of other guys jamming on some Tom Waits tunes sometime in the past. Although I don't remember when and where. Maybe you can remind us.
So yeah, in Columbus, Ohio, looks like Primus and Gogol Bordello performed big in Japan. Uh,
Oh, cool.
I think were they also present at Red Rocks?
Yes, the Red Rock show. That one was
Yes.
live streamed, and I remember that because Dead Kenny G's, I think, opened and ripped it, and then Gogo Bordello came on, and I assumed it'd be about a 45-minute set, and they
Yeah,
played for like an hour and
and
a half.
and Les did Cold Ground with Gogol Bordello, which is also a Tom Waits number.
Oh, so those two guys definitely bonded over Tom Waits.
Yes.
Yeah, and Eugene has a really fascinating background in terms of music. I was just reading the Wikipedia article on the guy, and it sounded like he, as a kid, was making instruments out of all kinds of spare parts, doing a lot of DIY projects so that he could make noise, make music. You know, when you listen to Gogo Bordello, there's certainly traditional musicality to it, but he brings such innovative energy and ideas that you can hear that shining through, that he thinks differently, and it certainly shows. And that kind of reminds me his DIY background. There's a guitarist named Mdo Mokhtar, and he built his own guitar just out of parts and taught himself to play, and he plays really innovative stuff. And he's fascinating. He's come to prominence in the last few years here. I'm lumping those guys together in my head just for their innovative takes on music. Eugene's an interesting guy. I was delighted to see his name in the credits. Do you still get down with Gogol to this day?
Not really. My only exposure would be this particular song. And that's where I wanted to highlight that lyrically, Bite Out of Life is a very interesting number because we get the chorus over and over. I mean, they really
Yeah.
they really hammer it down.
Their
But if
jaws
you
must have hurt from taking so many
yes,
bites, right?
but there are just I mean, if you look at the lyrics on paper, there are just two verses.
Yeah, yeah, and whatever Eugene's saying isn't printed. So I heard
No,
something
it's
about a
it's
farmer. I never really tried to figure it out.
yeah, it's heavily ad-libbed and sounds I mean, it sounds to me like stream of consciousness lyrics, which he probably just improvised when he walked up to the microphone in the studio.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah,
Yeah, it's I mean it's so chaotic and um, so random that I don't think anything of it was planned beforehand.
yeah. I think there's something to
And
that because of that energy. It was probably felt
yeah,
really spontaneous just to go in and do something high energy and nutty and do it all in one take.
some of it might as well just be gibberish, I guess.
Oh yeah, right. It's hard to tell what it might be, but yeah, the of course the repetition of "I knew a boy who took a bite out of life," and that's pretty much the takeaway because, as you said, it's repeated ad nauseum, and there, of course, that matches the energy of the tune, right? I'm just gonna
Yes, we get
go
we get
have
some
fun.
really we get some really great music on this number.
That's true. I do. I remember thinking initially in 2009. What a jumbled mess this is. But I gave it a more honest listen this time around, and there's certainly organization to it.
And
I
it does
think
have very distinctive sections, and
yes,
we're I mean the samples that we're going to highlight today showcase that even though the lyrics are quite repetitive, the music is not. Actually, they rarely repeat patterns on this song. The breakdowns are all unique.
yes, they've got. There's certainly a refrain in there, but it's not all A, right? It's not
Exactly.
all that the same thing over and over again.
Exactly.
Which on side A of this record, there's a lot of that. And of course, we said there's a lot of that on the Brown album. So is it a bad thing? No, especially if you execute it right. So, so this one is certainly different in that regard too. It has distinctive shifts, whereas some of those slower paced numbers kind of just roll along. Even if there is a shift, it's subtle, almost as to not be noticeable to some degree. Let's hear Frankie's favorite parts of Bite Out of Life. I'm going to take it to 40 seconds here. Whee! All right, Frankie, in the first minute, we hear this. I forgot about the envelope delight.
Yes.
So that part really typifies the upbeat energy of this track. That's one of those little interstitial moments that they get away from the main and go into that, I suppose, covey, and then come back out onto the main road. And then as I paused it, Eugene was about to do something crazy. Love the bass tone on this, even with the envelope filter, Frankie. This is one of those moments where I'm down. And I think it's because this number is just so loud anyway that it doesn't overtake anything else.
Yeah,
And so,
exactly.
yeah, unless it's doing some fun finger wiggling there, I suppose.
Yeah.
And so it's moving, and it's I got to say I welcome Paulo playing on that drum kit because it feels a bit more complete. Now he's not sitting there playing hi hat, kick and snare like he's playing four on the floor. He's doing something different, but it's certainly also different from what we've already heard to this point on the record. So we're going places. And then about halfway through the tune, we hear another of Frankie's favorite parts. Yeah. Yeah. So in that moment of the tune, the bottom drops out, and we get that gak, 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 which I love, and Eugene's yelling something, and even if it's nonsense, which it may not be, he could be yelling something in Ukrainian, but if he's yelling nonsense, he's so committed to it that I believe in what he's saying.
Yes.
It's so great. That's one thing I love about his vocal deliveries. He's 1,000% committed no matter what. And then they take off into something else after that. It's quite frenetic too. And then we got that almost distorted envelope filter piece there with the bass getting overloaded almost. It sounded great.
I love it precisely for the reason you can imagine.
It's a 2-word phrase. First letter E, last letter E of the first word. I wish we were playing charades right now. I'd win every time. And then about 3 minutes, 25 seconds, Frankie wants us to hear this. So once again, whatever Eugene's saying, I'm buying it. And
it works great with the bass line.
Yes, for sure. It actually does come together pretty well, and it has more to it than I remembered from years and years ago. And I think that's what I appreciate about this track, is the variety. And letting Eugene just wail. Like he's saying, I know he's saying some things here, but in other parts, it's just unintelligible wailing. and it works.
Yes.
One thing I noted about this is that Les is actually still staying in the pocket, and we have a steady drum beat. So Les isn't going out of control and crazy. Les is just laying it down straight so Eugene can be himself, which is all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think it's a great match or pairing for this track for sure. As if we didn't get enough from this tune, there's a payoff at the end.
Pretty great, isn't it?
We got a call down at the end. Love it. I'm a fan of this track now. I certainly wasn't at the time, and that could be argued I wasn't a fan of any of the tracks at the time. But now, as we re-examine these, this is one that certainly stands out simply for the energy. I don't know if any Gogol Bordello fans had expectations of this track when they heard Eugene was collaborating with Les Claypool, but it's a fun one.
It's another song that steps away from the fungi lore of the video game.
Oh, yes, absolutely. There's no mushroom connection. There's no wild boar connection.
There's just a boy.
It's a wild man connection, and that wild man is Eugene Hutz. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if actually Les was out looking for wild boars and just saw Eugene running around naked in the woods and said, "Hey, man, want to come record a song?" And that was that. Yeah, and as you say, with the lyrics, there's not much to talk about. It's just grab life by the horns and go crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Enjoy it before it's over. Yeah, you bet.
Basically.
And if you start feeling down, go have some fun. Go do something.
Yeah.
And I like that it's vague enough. Just go take a bite out of life. He's not saying go skydiving. He's not saying, hold a python. He's saying just go do something fun. There's no definition because it's different for everybody. My bite out of life, Frankie, is going to be different than yours. Although we can both agree that cookies, pastries, and milkshakes are divine.
Indeed.
There's our common ground.
And Mountain Mike as well.
This guy loves Mountain Mike's pizza.
Yes.
So listeners, if you know that Frankie is visiting your fair city and there's a Mountain Mike's pizza, chances are he will be there 18 hours in any given day. Just pounding Mountain Mike's pizza. Did I tell you there's one right around the corner from where I work?
Yeah, you said you go there once a month.
I usually do.
And what do you have?
Whatever my boss buys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't even pay for it. It just lands in front of me. It's a wonderful thing.
Fantastic.
Living the good life here. We've talked about it enough, Frankie. It's time for Primate's Takes. If you want your take about the track up for discussion read right here on the podcast, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/Primus Tracks. Many tiers of support over there. The universal constant is indeed Primates Takes. Today, Frankie, we have a take on Bite Out of Life from Edwin Allen Richards IV, our landed gentry.
Edwin.
He says, right before this album came out, my two biggest musical obsessions were Gogol Bordello and anything less Claypool. I was beyond excited when I heard there was going to be a collaboration. When I finally heard the track, I was so hugely disappointed. It felt loose, sloppy, and largely improvised for a studio track. I was so let down. I think I was just hoping for some of that epic Bordello instrumentation, and instead got sloppy acoustic strumming and Eugene's nonsensical wailing. Funny enough, upon revisiting the track nowadays, I really like it.
Wow.
He's redeemed himself. I shouldn't say
Yes.
that. I should say the track has been redeemed in the eyes of Edwin. Thank goodness. I would say, I suppose he and I had a similar experience. Initial disappointment, latter-day acceptance. Frankie, our pal Brooks has weighed in.
Brooks breaks it down.
Get ready to lose your job. Brooks says, it's
ready.
nice to hear some guitar on this record. I'm a big Gogol Bordello fan, so this one was a hit with me immediately. And that's how we lost our jobs. John Shreve says, Bite is primal and screams of pure, unbridled masculinity, just much like Ryan Rashawn specifically. I like that he's shouting out fellow Primatrons
Yeah.
for unbridled masculinity. And Primates Takes is rounded out by our pal Eric in Australia, who says, Bite is a ripping song that probably wouldn't be much, but the insane gypsy vocal cameo makes it fire. Eric continuing his streak of positive reviews here and general satisfaction with a Fungi and Foe.
Looks like someone's gonna have a favorite new record.
I don't know why that was so funny. Well, that's it for Primates Takes. Thank you all so much for your support and your wise words.
Just before we wrap up, I mean, how could we omit something so recent? When you asked about collaborations, we mentioned the live performances they had, but we also need to highlight that Eugene and Liz worked together once again for The Man with the Iron Balls.
That's right. We neglected to mention that one, and that's their most recent collaboration. We'll definitely talk about that tune in great detail at a later date, because there are so many people involved in that track.
Sean Lennon is there as well.
Yeah, I believe it started with Les and Eugene and then went out from there into the Claypool network. That is definitely a collaboration of note, and we'll certainly come back to it. So Eugene's still in the orbit of Les and Primus, so anything can happen. I actually had lost track of Gogol Bordello, Frankie, and they've been churning out albums over the years. And they're still out there touring. So Eugene's gainfully employed, doing very well. I'm happy for the guy. Well, I guess I can say this. Bite out of life, chew with your mouth closed. You've been tracked. Next time, Frankie, a song about a dog.
Or a musical instrument? Find out on the next episode of Primus Tracks.
Nice. Nice sting. That'll do it. Primates, Primatrons, people of Earth, thank you all so much for listening to this here podcast. Tell a friend, tell a grandparent. Later days.
Willie Mays.